So I'd like to welcome to the podcast today. I have Fella from the band Dreamshade. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, man.
Absolutely my pleasure. I want to say I've only just discovered you guys. I was saving this from the preamble that we had. I've only discovered you guys, and I'm really digging the latest single, which we're sort of here to talk about, as well as the album that's just about to drop. But yeah, no, I just discovered you guys when I got sent your music a couple of weeks back from the press agent that you have for the UK, and yeah, I really love it. It's called Stone Cold Digital, and it features what was the name? Rose Villain. So I've got it written.
Yes.
So I couldn't find my notes. But yeah, no, I really dig the track. I played it on my radio show last week, and it got a good reaction from it. And yeah, I just want to sort of first, before we sort of start talking about that sort of side of things, can I get some of your origin story? Because I know you guys have been kicking around for a little while, and like I said, this is the first time I've stumbled upon you. And yeah, I just want to get a sort of bit of background on you guys, if that's all right.
Absolutely. So we started the band back in 2006, if I am correct. But yeah, that should be around the time that we actually started, writing our own music and our own ideas. And we were all underage. So everything just started after watching Children of Bodom on New Year's Eve in 2005. So that sparked everything. So we were just kids, seeing this awesome band and these young guys, because they were really young at the time, really, thrashing on stage and playing these awesome riffs and everything. So we figured that's what we want to do. So we started the band 15 years ago, and we never imagined that it would take us where it is right now. It was just for the love of music,
Yeah.
And it still is. Absolutely.
And through the years, obviously, like you say, you've been around since 2016. How do you feel that you've sort of like changed? Because obviously the industry was kind of at a transformation point when you kind of became a band, and now it's transforming again into, because of obviously the world issues that we're having right now.
Yeah.
How have you guys felt like sort of, how do you feel you've evolved in that time?
So we didn't release anything until 2008. That's when we produced our first EP. That was the first time that we ever entered a studio or anything close to it. At least it was a cheap type of production, but it was all the money that we had at the time. And nobody was really able to, produce with their computers at the time. So you really needed to, try and get whatever you could. And we live in southern Switzerland, so there was not really any professional studio around, and anything was really expensive.
Yeah.
So we put all of the money that we had, and then produced that album. And then after 2 years, we signed with Universal Music and Spine Firm.
Oh wow.
From Finland.
Yeah.
That was Children of Bodom record label at the time, and Nightwish. They had all of these Finnish great bands, so we were fans of them. So we signed, and it was a really good journey because they produced our first full length and the second one. So What Silent Sides and The Gift of Life. And the second album was our biggest exposure. The first real time that we were exposed to a very international audience.
Yeah.
It did really well in Japan. It did really well in the US and also in Europe. And that's when we started, really touring hard after that record.
Nice.
And since then, we released another album with an American label called Artery Recordings.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore, but the album is called Vibrant. And we did a world tour also for that. And we touched 4 different continents.
Nice.
We just never went to Australia and South America for now, but it's in our plans. Absolutely.
Excellent. No, that's always good. They're good crowds down that way. So
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So just before we'll start talking about this album you've got coming out. It's about to drop on Friday. As of recording, this will come out afterwards. So it'll already be out for everyone that's listening or watching.
That's fine.
Stop this, go listen to it. It's called A Pale Blue Dot. And I sort of immediately I thought Carl Sagan. and
Absolutely.
that turned out that yes, it had that kind of ring to it. So I mean, just on the name at the moment, we'll talk about the music in a second, but the name of the album, you did name it after the Carl Sagan book.
Absolutely, yeah.
What was the sort of like impetus behind that?
So we had at the time just finished recording all of the songs. There are 14 songs in the record, and we were looking for the right title for this album that could describe the Earth being seen from afar, and we were kind of struggling in the first place because in the beginning because it was really hard to find a very poetic way to describe it, and then something just came to mind. I remembered about this book, and I figured, like, I mean, there is no other better way to put it as Carl did back in 1994. So I figured let's just use it, and also as a tribute to his work, which we are very big fans of. So we can do both things at the same time. And then that's how it happened.
Nice. I mean, does the album itself follow any kind of like theme along those lines, or was it just because you wanted that kind of, obviously you wanted that name to be the more descriptive side of it?
So many of the songs are very personal and human related, so we figured we really wanted to have this cosmic perspective of the planet that we live in, and what it really represents for us and also for the universe, because most of the times we think that everything we know of and we love is very, very important here where we live, and we often fight with each other for futile stuff, where as you look at it from a cosmic perspective, it means nothing. So everything that we know of and we live through, it really isn't that important on a cosmic perspective. So that's where we thought maybe we should just look at humanity as a big family instead of just fighting with each other and having all these different thoughts and fighting on that purpose or whatever. It just felt like a really important moment for us where we thought these things, and just felt like maybe all of this stuff is not that important as we think it is.
No, you're right on that front. I mean, also recently they landed on Mars. Well, they landed a drone
Absolutely
on Mars. And that was like, it was one of the, I was watching it and it was just like one of those moments of like, so many things on this planet, like it's just like you say, it's futile, it's infantile, it's not worth the energy that it's being spent on it. And you got things like that where we're trying to explore the universe,
Absolutely.
and we're getting like clear pictures back now from this foreign planet, which we've only kind of seen a little bit before, and then the little buggy robot thing just pit us out. But like stuff like that, when you watch how like some of like humankind are trying to still explore, there's that kind of like, you got SpaceX stuff like that where they're trying to make the renewable like rockets, and I remember I mentioned beforehand I was living in Florida before this, and Cape Canaveral was literally just it was across Florida from me, but so many times you could go there and you could watch a launch and you could watch a landing, like a rocket landing.
That's amazing.
Which is absolutely,
that's incredible.
And the actual scale of these things are immense as well, and just like on a cosmic sort of level as well. And you're just sort of thinking, will I still be around when they've actually put a person on that planet or gone further, and we're getting more information about this place we're in, because it can't just be this ball of this little pale blue dot, if you will, to use that album term. But no, that's really cool. I love that. Let's talk about the music. You've got a couple of singles out already. I did look them up as soon as I sort of discovered you guys. I did look them up, and you got Question Everything, which was one single that was available, and On My Own was the other one as well. I haven't been fortunate to hear the whole album. I've only heard those 3 tracks. The other one, which is Stone Cold Digital, and I'm loving all 3. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the album on Friday. what can your sort of like what can your like existing fan base expect, and any sort of newbies watching, you know, what sort of, how would you kind of describe this album?
So for all those that already are familiar with the band, I would say that this album is like a mix between everything that we've done in the past. So there is influences from all of the past three records, plus many more new influences. But the sound is still like, you know, sometimes very heavy, sometimes soft,
Yeah.
sometimes it's totally different than your usual metal band, because there is so many different influences in it. So let's say there are some hip hop influences, electronic music influences, bossa nova sometimes. It's very weird to say it like that, but when you listen to it, it's gonna be very balanced.
Yeah.
So for all the people that don't know about Dreamshade, I um I would say it's a very modern way of thinking of metal.
Okay, cool. Cool. I mean, that was one thing that really drew me to you, was that electronic side of things, because I've always had a thing
Yeah.
for um, a crossover sound of electronic and metal.
Hmm.
Yeah, sort of like the sort of raw industrial or Nine Inch Nails, Fear Factory, that sort of side of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Or you've got the more sort of like modern take on things like Enter Shikari, Bringing the Horizon,
Absolutely.
bands like that that kind of really mold those two sort of um, like organic with, or digital with analog, I think is the best
Yeah.
best way of putting it. And that's why we like, because I like my radio show kind of centers around that crossover sound, my music radio show. So away from this,
Hmm.
I produce a weekly mix for TotalRock, which is what this is for as well. And it really does center around electronic and metal and rock and stuff. So it's kind of nice when bands actually do mold those sounds together, because I don't have to remix anything on the fly, or
Yeah. All
electronic
right.
stuff is still there, and it still has that continuous like kind of beat and drive to it. um
Hmm.
and yeah, that's what really did like attract me to you on that front as well. It was just sort of having that sound, and then I'm gonna go back. I've got your albums lined up on my playlists, so I'm gonna go back and listen to them all, I think, after this. But I'm waiting for the one to drop on Friday, and then I want to listen to that in full first, and then go back and listen to see where you guys came from. Um,
Yep.
so have you guys, like, obviously during this time, did you record this over the lockdowns?
So we started writing the songs just before the lockdown, and then when we were about to finish some of the recordings of the drums, especially, um, we didn't have the vocals, we didn't have the guitars and bass, and also all the electronics and keyboards and stuff. The lockdown happened, and we were one of the first countries to actually be in lockdown, being, you know, just across the border with Italy, which was the first European country to be in the red zone, let's call it like that. So we were just after them, because we just live on the border with Italy, but we are in Switzerland.
Yeah.
So uh, everything happened. We had scheduled some flights to go to Denmark and finally mix the whole thing in March 2020. Yes. And flights started to be canceled. The studio was canceled. So we ended up recording all of the other instruments on our own, by ourselves, in our home studios. So I recorded guitars here. The bass player recorded in his home studio and also worked on synths and everything. Me and the singer recorded at our band studio, which is in a very small town close to here. And that never happened before, so it was a very weird, you know, situation, but it worked really well for us. Like, we were so productive and efficient, and we ended up mixing with our engineer Jacob Hansen in Denmark
Yeah.
through Skype.
Wow.
And we never did that. And we found out that it was actually very worth it, because we had more time to spend on each single, you know, instrument, and
Yeah.
each little part in every song. And that ended up being like super good for the record. That never usually happens. So I'm very, very happy about it.
No, that's really cool. I mean, this is the sort of thing when I've been doing these podcasts over, especially over the last year, like going from when the initial lockdown hit in. I mean, I was, I'm not going to say fortunate enough to have, but I did have an artist from Italy on the show
Yeah.
as well, and just sort of getting their perspective because it was really bad there.
Hmm.
And then over the year, it's kind of gone up and down, especially in this country. It's just gone up and down. Like we're open, we're closed, we're open, we're closed. um and now they've kind of like they've set a roadmap, if you will, to being, I think end of June is going to be when, like, say, nightclubs will be back open again, which is great. If it happens, that's great for me because I'm a DJ, so I can go back to work on that front.
Yeah.
Obviously it'd be great for bands as well because nightclubs, venues, generally they fall under the same categories, so bands like yourself
Yeah.
back up and running. But over the time, like just watching bands evolve and adapt to the situation has been absolutely amazing. And then like realizing that certain practices that they had gone through before, like what they were comfortable with, like going into a studio and writing, or getting together with the rest of the band and just jamming out stuff, they've adapted to this online side of things, which I think I mean I love watching it. I've seen bands do like the creative process. They've had like bands doing live streams of them having ideas back and forth, and you can just be like the fly on the wall and listen
Yeah.
in. And just stuff like that, and just sort of like you said with your sort of like story of the last year of doing that and using Skype for the mastering sessions, using your own sort of studios to just record these bits. I mean, obviously not all bands are in that fortunate position of having various equipment or even the know-how to actually do any kind of production side of things or record themselves. I've known a few that have kind of come to me and asked me what do I need, what do I, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been a year of learning stuff that I feel that normally anyone in the band wouldn't have picked up, like generally, like just sort of having that kind of savviness to sort of adapt when the world closes. There's still a way for you guys to communicate and create and put your art form out there for people as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta admit, it's been like super hard in
Yeah.
the first place, like at the beginning of it, and at the same time, this record was shaping to be one of our best records at the same time that this happened. So I gotta say, it's also been the thing that kept us sane through all the process. So if this wasn't happening right now, it would be a totally different record,
Yeah.
lyric wise, concept wise, music wise, and also the feeling there is in it. Like the we were so compact as a band through this very hard moment that absolutely shaped the music that's in it.
Yeah.
And I can still feel it when I play the songs of the record. Like it takes me to this weird place in my head where I can relive all of these moments and really makes me stronger.
That's really good. That's
And
really
that's an awesome thing for a record to me.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. It does make you feel more like, it gives you that, obviously, that what you were saying with the sort of like the power of the music that you've created, but also that feeling of, you know in some respects I was in a band for a while as well, and you kind of take a few things for granted. I don't
Yeah,
doing the same thing, but like gigging, gigs always be there, you
absolutely.
know or being able to go out and meet people or go to other shows or do do what you do on that front. But now that this has happened, it's shown that you do need other things, because if you rely on that one source of um that one source of, I don't know, it's the dopamine, isn't it, from it, really? It's it's that kind of like that one outlet, if you will. But this is giving you that perspective that there are other aspects that you can have whilst doing this. I mean, there are some people
Yeah.
that are sort of enlightened to that. There are others that have no idea. I have a lot of musician friends still. Some of them were handling this really well, some of them weren't. And you can see how, and over time they have, like, a lot of them have adapted and realized that there is more to this. You can get involved in more ways. There are, with the technology that's out there today, a phone is a webcam. It is a way to
Hmm.
record stuff and also scream out live and stuff as well on whatever platform. You just need that phone and something to say. And
Yes.
yeah, and it's just sort of given
that's sometimes pretty hard.
I know, and I struggle for my words all the time on this. Um, especially when my kids like go on TikTok, go on TikTok, do what? Do what? They're like, dance. No, not dancing. But it's just having that. I was fortunate to have this outlet during the time. I've still got it now. I've been doing this for a little while, but over lockdown, like the first one, I was releasing a podcast every day.
That's incredible.
These artists were at home, and I was like, you know what? Let's have a chat.
Yes.
And the thing with it was like it was helping them by talking to them, by having someone to talk to, even if I was stroking the ego with some of them because I was huge fans. I'm still a fan of music.
Okay.
But when you get like massive artists that were like your dad's favorite kind of like artist, it really does, like, you turn into a fanboy for a bit, but but just talking to them helped them, and it helped me because I was talking to someone else. Not that I don't enjoy talking to my family if they're watching this or if they're listening to this. I love them dearly, but being locked in the same room with 5 people, it's it can be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's just like having that outlet and watching bands evolve, watching them kind of like yourselves and stuff, like adapt to the situation, use your own skills you've kind of picked up over the years, or learned something new, which has been massive. I didn't think I'd learned anything coming out of the first lockdown, but it turned out I'd learned a few different processes for things like this and OBS streaming and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And live stream DJ sets and all that kind of stuff on that, and it just sort of I've learned something new, something I probably wouldn't have done prior to it. But like, you have to evolve, you have to never stop learning, is what I say. If there's something you can do.
Absolutely, man.
Exactly. And fella, I've got a couple of questions left for you, if that's all right, and I can let you get on with the rest.
Absolutely.
More about yourself on this front, but what are your if you could pinpoint your 3 most pivotal albums, like, not, it's basically what I'm after is the ones that kind of made you want to play guitar. What was that album you first heard and go, I want to do that? What was the first one that, that just like shaped the way you are today, or the person that you are now?
Okay, so the record that made me want to play guitar and start a band in general was Hate Breeder from Children of Bodom.
Nice.
Because that was a very big turning point in my life, because I was, if I'm not mistaken, 13. That was the first metal band, like full metal band, that I fell in love with, because they were weird. They were doing all of these melodies and very fast guitars, but they were screaming, and I was coming from punk rock and didn't really enjoy that at the first place, and then started understanding that and really felt like the power in it somehow, and also the style, because they were very different from all of the other metal bands that I've heard up to that point.
Yeah.
Another record that was really incredibly strong for me was my first rock record, and it was in 2000. And my sister she's a little bit older than me, 5 years older than me, and she was bringing all of these albums at home, and it was 99, 2000, 2001. It was a very big turning point in music, for music in general. Yeah. All of these new genres were starting to come out, and she told me one day, okay, let's put all of our money together and we're going to buy some records. And I was just going to I don't know, elementary school or middle school, I don't remember, but we went together and bought Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park.
Nice.
And that's something that never really left me, because up to this day, when I listen to those songs, every single song is a banger, and the style that is in it, and the delivery of the vocals and the lyrics and the production of the music is just stunning. So that's something that I still carry with me today, and sometimes I can get I can put, some tributes in my music from that album, because it meant so much for me as a musician and also as a person.
Yeah.
And another album that I really loved, but it came only, some years ago, 2013, 2014. I don't remember the album when it came out. It was a Scottish band called Biffy Clyro.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you know them.
Yep.
And their album Opposite,
Yeah.
you know that record
I
with
do.
the tree. Yeah. That's a very important record for me, because it helped me accept that if I do, if I make some pretty weird music sometimes, it's fine, because if it sounds great, it sounds great for somebody else also.
Yes. No, that's a fine selection there. I mean, Children of Bodom, they are, yeah, they're crazy heavy. I love that band. They were great. Linkin Park was a little bit after my kind of, well, no, it was on the tail end of my kind of my scene, if you will.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I was heavily into new metal. So obviously Linkin Park, massive in that. Um, like they changed a lot of that the metal scene at that point. Just purely they made it,
absolutely.
it became more commercially viable. We had bands coming out of there like Deftones, Korn, System of a Down. All these bands were there, and they were kind of doing reasonably well over here anyway. And
Mm-hmm.
then Linkin Park came along, and I think it was Papa Roach around the same time,
Yeah,
and both of them had this like highly like polished album. Like it wasn't sort of like raw recorded, in a drunken fury in
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
studio somewhere, which is fine. There's a lot of great albums that are that, but this came out and it was just sort of, I think it was produced by the Dust Brothers, I think it was, which are like huge in the electronic scene, or they provided all the beats and stuff that they used. Um, and it was just like, it was just a total turning point. I mean, at the time, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was like, no, this isn't mine. This is like, this
Yeah.
Pretty Boys, and I was too cool for school. I admit that a long time ago. Because like when becoming a DJ, or I was a DJ anyway, but then playing rock clubs and having residency at rock clubs,
Yeah,
people want to hear Linkin Park. People go crazy when you play Linkin Park. Anything from
absolutely.
Hyper Theory, Meteora, anything, from those albums and onwards as well. And
Yeah,
yeah, and also I was a scratch DJ in a metal band at the time as well. So, there was this band. Obviously, we've had Limp Bizkit, we had Deftones, they've all got them as well. And that whole new metal like crossover, rap crossover, a lot of bands had them, and I was part of that scene as well. Um, and it was just sort of that point of like, this has now become something I can do, and being a scratch
yeah.
DJ, not a lot of people like me, just purely because not a lot of people, what people are like when they're truly metal, and any other influence comes in, and they just. I'm over that now. The band's we've been split up for about 10 years, so it's fine. But yeah, no, and obviously the Biffy Clyro, yeah, I've seen that band grow from playing small 150 200 capacity venues locally to they're headlining Download next year if it happens, which is the huge metal festival. So it's
That's incredible.
yeah, watching a band like that kind of rise through the ranks and become the sort of powerhouse that they are. Actually, I mean, that album is a great album, of theirs, and yeah, and it's just sort of, it's really nice, like, not being, I wasn't there ground level, but I was there on their way up, and seeing them in these venues touring with, being the support band or being the headliner for that night. Absolutely fantastic. I'm showing my age here, but yeah, it's but no, three fine choices there. Absolutely love it. What my last question for you? What are your hobbies away from Dreamshade? So when you're not writing and recording music, what sort of stuff do you do?
The thing I love the most outside of work in general is cooking.
Cooking.
Like that's my jam. I mean, I really do that all the time, every day, multiple times a day, and it's something that really makes me feel satisfied. And I also put a lot of work in it, because I always discover new recipes and styles and different type of cuisines that I really love. And I just like it, man. I don't know how to put it. It's just something that makes me satisfied, as well as music. Like I find like there is a very great connection between the two things.
Yeah.
And you can be really artistic in it, honestly, and it's great to make other people feel good.
Yeah.
So.
No, exactly that. Just before I came on the interview with this today, I literally just cooked my family dinner. So
Awesome.
So they were happily eating away as I came in here. And
Awesome.
I love cooking as well. Cooking is one of my, like, if I can, I mean, look at me, I'm well fed. But no, you're right. It gives me the same sort of buzz. So when I'm creating something, and obviously I am creating something with cooking, but like that musical process and that side of it,
yeah,
totally links. And I have music on while I'm cooking. I usually have some kind of,
me too.
It's usually some kind of jazz or something like that. Weirdly,
yeah,
but not weirdly, because I like it. But it's it kind of like occupies a scattery part of my brain while I'm doing this side of it. So it kind of it gives me that sort of like feeling to improvise with some things. Like today it was just a pasta pasta bake that I made, but I put a few extra kind of spices in it and bits I wouldn't normally do, and it went down a treat. They're happily eating it. So it's just kind of like, yeah, I love cooking.
yeah, dude, it's great. And also I have to say I also listen to jazz and bossa nova when I cook, and it just makes me feel right. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, it makes you
and
feel.
Also it's amazing to serve your friends and family with some really good type of food.
Yeah.
And that you spend a lot of time on it. But it's the best gift that you could do to anybody, and that's how it was in ancient times, and it still is today. And it's something that I think it's gonna stay forever.
Oh, totally cool. Well, Fella, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. Good luck with your album. It is a pale blue dot, which is out on Friday the 5th of March. So everyone who's been watching this, go listen to it now. Go find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer, whatever you're using. Or even go buy the CD.
Absolutely. Yes.
Go buy the physical format. Do what I do. Go buy vinyl. But yeah, no, good luck with it. I really I'm looking forward to hearing the whole thing on Friday. Yeah, have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you very much for having me, man. It's been great, and I hope you're gonna enjoy the full album. Maybe drop me a message if you listen to it and you like it, or if you don't. and let's speak the next time.
Yeah, no, definitely, man, definitely. Yeah, have a good evening.
Same to you. Goodbye. Bye.